I took a stroll downtown this evening when I heard music echo through the night. So I started running so I wouldn't be too late. In the neon light, what the music gon' reveal through the night.
Welcome everyone to Coaching in Session. My name is Michael Rearden, and I'll be your mindset coach today. And today we're going to be talking about spirituality, alignment, and much more. Today I'm going to be having on a celestial guide and coach who's going to be giving us a different perspective on that. And it's not so much about balance, because balance can be equated with equations and math. And even though I do a lot of balance in the work I do with mindset, it's maybe more yin and yang, more so than work life, family, all of that type of balance. We do create that through the process of coaching, but it happens in a more natural manner, because you might be a person who likes to have more work in their life. Me, I love work. Now, I like my family too, but if I had to put work and family, I would prefer to work more. In my mind, I'll tell you what's going on. I'm working for my family, because if I don't work, they don't eat. So it's kind of like I work so my family can be taken care of. So my mind just might be wired a little bit differently, but I still do date nights. We still do family times, movie nights, all of those things. They're all scheduled though, just because of my schedule. So I do these things to create my balance. And even though my work might be 70%, family life is 15%, and then everything else kind of goes in there, it's still balanced in the sense of what works for everyone. Now, sometimes you might have to make adjustments. Sometimes you might have to give up work in order to be there for your family. That happened to me in June, where my wife went into labor. She was 4 weeks early, and guess what happened? I had work after meeting, after seminar, all scheduled for that week. Guess what happened? All of that had to be canceled because that was no longer important to me. She was. My child was. We have to make those adjustments sometimes. And sometimes people just curse the universe and they say, you know what? The universe has done something wrong and now my life is not the way I want it to be. Well, it's not so much about what you want. It's about moving the way the world comes at you. Now, we have a choice. We can allow the world to move us, or we can move the world. Now, how we move the world is not going to be we're pushing it around, because that's a different type of mentality. What we're doing is we're taking what we get and we're returning the energy rather than letting the energy hit us. So it's kind of like using the momentum of what comes our way for our benefit rather than for our detriment. So getting into that state of mind, that state of being, requires a type of mindfulness and a type of awareness that we need to understand. Who better than my guest today, Roxanne Chaput, to come on Coaching in Session and to really help us become more in line with our spirituality and who we were always meant to be. So let's get into that interview with Roxanne and myself.
I'm not gonna play nice. I'll be the witch you tell your friends about.
Welcome, Roxanne Chaput, to Coaching in Session. How are you doing today?
I'm incredible. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for coming on. So today I have you on as a celestial guide and coach. Can you please tell the world what you do and how you help?
Absolutely. So the gist of my work really is to heal and to guide others to heal, love, and awaken. The concept of this and the celestial guide, also a celestial and earth generational shaman, so a very traditional ancient healer. And I use these modalities in collaboration with my coaching modalities in order to affect healing at all four layers of someone's being. So when we go to the emotional level, we go to the mental level, we go to the physical capacity, and then we go to the spiritual, the energetical level.
What type of people would you say are going to be coming to you? Are these people going to be interested in spiritual, or they are maybe already spiritually aligned?
You know, it really ranges. Some of them know that they're being called to kind of elevate themselves and they are seeking something further. What they have within their life and within the parameters of their life, it really is not as fulfilling as they once thought it would be, such as, you know, having a family, a career, and so forth. So they're looking for something a little bit more profound and they're looking to connect with themselves a little bit more deeply. And then I have some that are really well advanced in their soul and self-mastery journey. However, they may be stuck or they may be having difficulty or challenges moving forward past like a certain maybe generational trauma or something to do with their epigenetics that has happened within their lifetimes and within their ancestry.
That's interesting because I always deal with like purpose, passion, and gift more so than like finding spirit alignment. I'm not sure if there's a similarity between the two, like finding your purpose, passion, and your gift, and then finding your like spiritual alignment. Is there some similarities there?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that when we speak of passion, this sometimes can come from the emotional body or from the mind. And when we speak about passion, this can also come at a soul level, at the cellular level. So when we think about our soul's mission isn't to work 9 to 5 job or to be immersed into our business, even though those things are absolutely incredible. There's a mission behind that. We are here. We are all here. We are all, as humanity, are here to serve others and to serve humanity. So when we think about the divination of who we are and the divine creatures that we are, that we all have a soul's mission and a soul's purpose. And we have passions and we have things that we really like to delve into and just love to have within our life and that we feel passionate about. So they're very similar, but there's a little bit of a difference.
And when someone's like trying to find their like purpose, passion, or gift or become so aligned, is there like a process that you kind of go by? I know for me, when we're trying to figure out what they want to do, we kind of look at their why, their reason why they wake up every morning. So it's kind of like that motivator for them. And it's not something like listening to a motivational speaker or a motivational podcast and they kind of get a boost or listening to some music in the gym. It is totally different than that. We are trying to help them be self-sufficient where they don't need that boost. They are that boost. And I'm not sure if maybe you have like a secret tip or a secret trick of how you kind of approach it, because I know there's so many coaches and there's so different modalities where I might do something a little bit differently. That's the power of having other coaches come on and coaching a session and then to kind of explain what they do and then how they do things, because it could be unique. And I think that uniqueness kind of resonate with certain people, because some people who might not want to work with me might love to work with you because how you speak, how you approach things, and it just works with their brain pattern.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's really important. And part of my soul's mission is to have that awakening period. And when I speak of awakening, is really to be in alignment with our highest self within our soul's mission and ensuring that we are fulfilled in every aspect of our life. When we raise that vibration, we raise that frequency, and we align ourselves with the things that we truly and soulfully desire for our life. This is a very important question, is why? Why do you wake up every morning? Why do you do everything that you do every day? But then there's something beyond that. There's something that comes at more of an energetic level that is a little bit buried between our core belief systems, just our value belief systems, conditioning, conformity. There's a lot of trauma that happens and transpires throughout our lifetime, and trauma doesn't necessarily look like something that was absolutely catastrophic. Trauma can look like something that was minute, little things that have created an impact over time. It could be one word that we've carried throughout our entire lives. Trauma looks different for everyone. So when we have this trauma, it's very, very challenging for us to align ourselves at a soulful alignment, right? Really, when we think about it. So for me, it's important is that the coaching element is there, that we're seeking the why, we're questioning the why, we are digging further, we are questioning the belief systems. Do you truly believe that? Do you truly feel fulfilled? Do you truly feel happy and content? If your heart could speak, if your mind could speak, if your soul could speak, what would it tell you? And then there's the element of the shamanism where I bring them into a trance. If we think about neurolinguistic programming, it's something very similar when we think about hypnotherapy. I bring them to a transient state and I bring them to a trance so that they can release that trauma so that they can truly elevate and truly align themselves and truly find that messaging of what their soul is asking them to do.
I like that process. For me, when I was kind of going through that process of understanding myself, I think it's the best term for that. It would be like a mindset shift for me because I'm a mindset coach. When I started, it was probably like in high school where I was starting to ask myself, like, is this really what I want? A little bit of backstory. I was born, raised Catholic. So I went to church every Sunday. I would go to church, but it was just something like I had to do because my grandmothers would take me. So I would go to church. And then as soon as I'm old enough, I'm now in high school, I had the option to not go to church. And so I didn't. And what I did was I still enjoyed that type of understanding that there's a higher power. I started to kind of go down the more spiritual route. where it was more spirituality and then trying to find balance or trying to find an evenness so much of, am I having a good work-life balance, that type of thing? Am I not pushing myself in a way where I feel like I'm selling myself out? When I started to go down that journey, I started to listen to a lot of Zen, Buddhism, and then really getting into that type of mindset, basically. What I learned from there is that my mind actually favors that. So I learned how to be more present. I learned how to be in the moment. And I learned that what I was kind of going down was basically what the system or society has kind of said, hey, do this and then you'll be successful. But when I really looked at who I was, I saw that I wasn't fulfilled. Even though I had a good life, even though I had good things in my life and I had all these good things going for me, happiness was one of those things that wasn't forefront in my mind. So when I was asked the question, finally, after years, I'm in college at this point, are you happy? I really had to look and I really had to ask myself, am I happy? I mean, I had so many friends, I got good grades. You would think as a college student, you would be happy, but it was something missing. And it was that spiritual aspect of making sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing rather than what society says for me to do. I think so many people, they get into this routine of just listening to their parents or listening to their friends, their peer groups, and then they do something that they don't necessarily love. And then they feel like they're trapped and they want to get out, but they don't know how. What are ways that you bring people to that door that's locked in their mind and say, hey, you can open it. You already have the key. You just have to be brave enough and open that door.
Absolutely. And when we speak of such like beautiful points, and I think that when we speak of spirituality versus religion, is that spirituality really is not religion. Spirituality is about connecting to our own individual spirit, to our own individual soul, and allowing what feels right in the instinctual senses and the intuitive senses of who we are to really truly be in alignment with us. Just like what you said, when you heard everything resonated with you about Buddhism, things that, that you weren't taught when you were a child really resonated with you to be true and to hold that as your own truth. And that's really important as we're embarking throughout this incredible journey, is to understand and to trust ourselves, to trust our instinctual senses, to trust our intuitiveness. We are all energetic beings. We are electromagnetic beings. We are energy. We are frequency. We are vibration. And when something feels right, we instinctually know if something feels and sits right, and we just know it to be right. When people are embarking throughout this incredible journey and they feel lost and they feel like they're stuck, you have to start trusting yourself. You have to start trusting where you're being guided. When we negate on trusting ourselves, this is when the universe and greater source, divination, however, what your belief system is, creates things and orchestrates things throughout our life so that we can awaken to what we're truly supposed to be in alignment with. And sometimes these things aren't great. Sometimes these things can be very traumatic. It could be a job loss. It could be losing a loved one. It could be a near-death experience. It can come in all shapes and sizes. So it's really important that we start trusting ourselves and that we eliminate the desensitization that we have been subjected to since we were children. We've known ever since we came into this planetary system who we were, the soulful aspect of who we are. And then we lost that along the way because of the conditioning, the conformity. You have to do it this, you have to do it this way, you have to go to school, you have to get a 9-to-5 job. How many people don't even work in the field that they went to school for college or for university? So the system is broken. The system that we're taught is broken. We're never taught to really self-assess within ourselves and to really trust ourselves and to discover ourselves and discover our gifts, discover our abilities. So now is the time, now that we have that emotional maturity and we have that emotional intelligence, it's very important that we start embarking on this journey. So if you feel stuck and you feel that you're living a life that's unfulfilled, hire someone to be able to guide you through your journey so you don't have to go through the trenches, so that you can use the bridge that they've built for you and prevail throughout your life. So it's time to start questioning your reality. Why do I believe that money grows on trees? Why do I believe that I have to work this 9-to-5 job? Why do I believe that I have to be in this unfulfilled relationship because I have children with someone, or because I think this is who my parents or who society will accept into my life? Why is social media? Why is all these things controlling every aspect of my life? It's time to start asking those questions, the deeper questions, why and why, and keep asking until you have the answer for something that truly feels and resonates with you.
And I completely agree with you that the system that we have is broken, where many people are going to follow it thinking that it's going to lead to something. When they finally get there, they find that there's nothing there. And that nothingness can be despair, hate, sadness. I mean, you name it, all those negative emotions. If we're going against the grain, we're going against what we're supposed to be doing, we're allowing ourselves to have more hardship, to make our life more difficult, to bring in more traumas versus us being able to follow what we want to do, what we're supposed to be doing. And then if those traumas come our way, it's just going to be a hiccup in the day. A little bit about my personal life today. I had a screw in my tire, right? So before we had our meeting today, I could easily have said, curse the universe, I have a screw in my tire. It cost me $300. Or I can say, hey, I had a screw in my tire and I took care of it.
Hey, I'm thankful that I have a vehicle to get me from A to B. This is just a minor hiccup, right? And it's understanding that we've been taught our entire lives to create resistance within our lives. We have been taught our entire lives to create that resistance, to live in a state of fear, to live in a state that isn't truly the state of bliss and what we are intended to be here on this earth, which is peaceful love and light. So when we think of from this concept and we think about the resistance that we create and we bring in the law of attraction, we bring in the universal laws and the guiding principle laws, it's not just the law of attraction at hand. You don't just think of something. There's 11 other laws that go in conjunction with the law of attraction. That's the law of vibration, law of action, law of correspondence, how we deal with things, the law of divine oneness. So there's so many things that if we're not in alignment with, we create resistance within our life. And if we're truly trying to have that success and our mind and our ego state is in a constant state of fear, in a constant state of fight or flight, we're never going to be able to achieve and move further from that. So we have to understand that our mind is the limit, not the sky is the limit. Our mind is the limit. So instead of coming from a fixed mindset, we need to start pivoting to more of a growth mindset and understanding that everything in our journey is done for us. It's not done to us. And that is a really hard concept for a lot of people to understand, because that means that we have to take accountability and that we have to take accountability for our life's choices. And I'm not saying that we have to take accountability for the trauma that has occurred or that has been done upon us, but we do need to take accountability that we maybe enabled something or that we allowed something to transpire within our life, that we didn't create that emotional, that physical or so forth boundary within our life. So it's really important that we have that self-reflection and that introspective reflection as well.
Just kind of going back to the story a little bit, I had that choice to curse the world, to hate the world, but I didn't, right? So it's kind of like a word you snuck in there. You only said it once, but peace, right? I found peace with myself. And no matter what comes my way, no matter what type of hardship or challenge or difficulty or life scenario comes my way, I understand that I can always get back to peace. And sometimes it can be difficult. I'm not going to say finding peace and being in a state of total mindfulness is going to be a constant, because even I sometimes fall out of it, but I can pay attention to when I'm out of it. And then I can either appreciate it or get back to it. And for me, if I fall out of it, let's say I'm worried about something. So let's say my kid is sick and I'm just worried about my kid and I'm not thinking about living in the moment. I'm not thinking about working with my clients or being on the interview with anyone I'm going to be having on the podcast. I'm just going to be thinking about my kid, like, oh, he's sick and I got to take care of him and he's miserable. So I'm not being present. Now I am being present for him, but I'm not being present for me. So I'm in this constant state of worry. I'm not at peace. And that makes me kind of lower myself because I'm not operating at 100%, because since he's not 100%, I'm not 100%. So it's kind of like that balance where people can kind of feed off energy. And I think finding energy in a person is so important, because you can really get a good understanding when you're with someone if this energy is a good energy for me. And sometimes we're around people who don't have the good energy that we need in our life, or the energy that we seek.
Yeah, and it's important that we create that boundary. We have the choice, we have the power. And this is where a lot of people maybe feel short of, is that we hold that power. We hold the dynamic. If you want access to me, this is my boundaries, and if you don't no longer want access to me, then do what you're doing and you will no longer have access to me. It's about creating those boundaries and feeling okay with those boundaries. I hear balance all throughout, the world and throughout life, like this unachievable thing, because balance is really used for scientific and mathematical measure. Balance doesn't exist. So it's almost like we pre-place like this expectation that we need to have this balance, but the reality is we need to have a flow. We need to have a beautiful synergetic flow between our life and between our energy. And there's going to be times, like you said, like when our children are sick or something is happening, there's a disruption happening in our life, that our energy may be elsewhere, but it doesn't mean that our energy has to leave us. When I speak of this, is that when we have this unwavering inner peace and understanding that this is a daily practice, it's just like working out. When you work out a muscle for meditation, it's something that you have to do on a daily basis. It's not something you do once in a while. You're like, oh, okay, like I had peace today and oh, I don't have peace tomorrow. It's a consistent practice. And when you have that unwavering inner peace and you have that emotional regulation, that no external forces control your own emotional regulation, that is when you have truly mastered your inner peace. And that is what we're all trying to attain. That is what we're all trying to achieve, because inner peace equivalates happiness, true fulfillment and happiness. So when we think of that, it's okay that our energy is somewhere else, but we don't also have to surround ourselves with anyone that drains our energy. We don't have to be surrounded by energy vampires. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. It's healthy to have a boundary, equally healthy to say no that it is to say yes to the things that truly feel in alignment with who you are.
I know for me, when I first started to get brave, right? I'm just going to use the word brave to say no. It's like, no, I'm not going to do that. Before, I might have said yes just for, being a people pleaser, obligation, whatever it be. But now it's kind of like, if it doesn't work for me, it's not going to work at all. And it's not the idea of my way or the highway. It's just that I understand what I need. And I'm not going to sacrifice my peace for someone else's pleasure. And it's not that I don't want to see them be happy. It's not that I don't want to see them successful. It's just that I understand that we are in charge of our own thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. And if we can really get a good compass of that, we're not going to look for other people to fulfill us. Now, having a coach is going to be a great method for you to get to where you want to be. But that person is a guide more so than someone who's going to just give you all the answers. We have to kind of find those answers ourselves, because if we don't, we're just given the answers. And I mean, sometimes people come to me and they say, hey, Michael, can you please just tell me what to do? And I say, nope, that's not going to happen, because you need to figure out what you need to do. And I'm here to help you. So let's ask the right questions, right? And then let's get to our answer, versus me telling you what to do. Because if I just tell you what to do, you're doing what I want you to do. And I want you to do what you want, because you're unique.
This is why we're in this predicament, because you keep doing what everybody else is telling you to do, right? And
exactly.
I feel like the greatest coaches and the greatest guys, like the most incredible people that are doing this work, just like yourself, is that we sit back and we hold that space, because everybody has their answers within them. Everybody has those answers within them. It's just when you have the right guide and you have the right coach, they will guide you to the answers. They will guide you to ask the right questions so that you can seek the right answers. We are not here to give advice. We are not here to mend your life. That work needs to be done by the client. That's where the accountability piece lies in. We are just going to guide you everywhere so that you can seek those answers and find those answers so that you can effectively heal or, go through the next transition throughout your life. So I think that's a great point of what you're saying.
And then kind of touch base on what you're saying, because I think it's an interesting topic. And we always touch base on it here, but we never really dive deep. And if I can with you today, I want to kind of dive deep in it. So that idea is going to be how change is very difficult, right? So we finally get to that point where we're looking for that answer, where we're looking for creating our peace. And it's difficult sometimes to do that, because we have to let go of our old self and make room for our new self, our new way of being, our new entity, versus, trying to keep what we had, get something new, and then kind of mash it all together. And that never works.
never works. It's like, everyone's like, oh, I like doing renovations. I'm like, I hate doing renovations because I don't feel like renovations are what's needed. I think that it's important that as a human being, that we are rebuilding the entirety of our home, the entirety of our entity. So that means that we are bulldozing the house, we are ripping out the foundation, and we are creating a new foundation, because we can't build a home, an existing foundation that has a poor core belief system, a poor value system, and then expect it to function and to last, maybe the next 100 years. That's impossible. It's physically impossible. So it's important that we are ripping out the old foundation. We are pouring a new foundation, and that means a new belief system. That's the understanding of healing that trauma. So that isn't the guiding principle that is dictating your life. And a lot of people are afraid of change. And as human beings, we're all afraid of change. We are afraid of evolution. However, if we can just have a different perspective on change, and to really understand that change is a milestone. We've been changing, and we have been growing incredibly throughout our entire life. Our entire life, we've been changing and evolving our entire life since we were babies, like from not being able to walk to walking. Like, we've been changing and evolving in our entire life. So when we think of change, we think fear because it's unknown. However, we've been changing and evolving our entire life, where we need to be looking at it from a perspective that we are reaching a new milestone throughout our life. And this is healthy. This is great. This is exciting. Sometimes the path there doesn't feel great. And for those that go through awakening periods or go through a different ascensional period or self-mastery, step, that shit can be tumultuous. That shit can feel like heavy. That shit can feel sad. You can feel distress, you can feel grief, you can feel all these things. And that is perfectly healthy, right? And to understand that it's healthy for us to feel all of our emotions. We have over 27 different emotions, and it's important to feel every aspect of them, but just to not be stuck in one of, more the yucky feelings or the negative emotions, to move through it and not create that resistance on our path. And instead of trying to fight and resist and trying to swim upstream, we need to go downstream and go with the flow, go with the stream, so that we are not creating that resistance and we are going with the flow of it. And when we think of change, as soon as you hear change, most people are like panic, right? Like, it's like a instant panic mode. What do you mean I have to change? Oh my goodness, like, what's coming? Like, what is my life going to look like if I don't have this career? I don't have this relationship that is toxic. Like, what is my life going to look like? And you don't have the answers. You're not going to have the answers until you move through the shitstorm. And then you come to the rainbows and the butterflies and the beauty, and you're like, wow, that was absolutely worth it. Because there's no rainbow without a storm. There's no rainbow without rain. There's no beauty without having to go through a bit of trials and tribulations throughout our life. That is what we are intended to do. So when we think about change, we have to stop trying to calibrate ourselves in our fear perspective and our fight or flight, and just submit to our journey instead of trying to create that resistance. Yeah, and we know instinctually that we need to change. Something is gnawing at us, like something does not feel right.
If you were given something. So, for example, let's say I gave you an abundance of money. So, let's say this is for sake of America, I give you $1 million. You're like, oh, I got $1 million now. How long would that happiness last? It's only going to be momentary. And most likely you're going to lose that money within that year because you don't know how to maintain $1 million. So you have this abundance of money, and before you know it, that money is gone. You have this endorphin rush, you're buying all these things, and then eventually you run out of money. So we run out of happiness too when the money runs out, but you were just given to it, right? So you were given that money, you didn't earn that money. So you feel good, but then you're not good in the end. I think sometimes people, they look for a quick fix, right? They look for, well, how can we get this done quick and easy, right? So they like quick and easy. And then if it can be convenient, that's also a plus. So they look for quick, easy, and convenient. Kind of going to your home renovation type of thinking. If we just paint the house, but we really don't do the work to like prep, right? So there's holes in the drywall. There's going to be, nails sticking out. So it's kind of like we put some paint over it thinking it's going to just spruce up the place, but there's still so much work that needs to be done that's underneath the paint. And for me, when I went on that journey, I got rid of everything. And it felt crazy to me because I was totally lost for some period of time where I was kind of like, just like in a daze, like, what's going on? I built my whole life to this point and I got rid of everything. So I finally was able to build the way I wanted to versus what society was telling me to build. And then I can really say, okay, I like this. I like this. I even got to the point for my first shift was I was building up pretty good. And I was like, I like everything. And then got to the point where I was like, I don't like it. Tore it all down again. I'm lost again. So it's kind of like that journey of always being ready to keep on building and to keep on trying. And sometimes people, they just get to that point and they're like, well, this is how it's going to be. And they just accept what they have rather than starting over. And I find that's a huge detriment to many people because they have more to give. It's just that they're tired maybe, or they just don't believe that they can do it.
Absolutely. And I think that, you spoke of something really great is that there is no such thing in life as instant gratification equaling sustainability and maintainability. There is no such thing. And when we come from, like what you said, like if I won $1 million, if my epigenetics aren't correct, if my core belief systems aren't correct, if my vibration and my frequency aren't correct, you are going to lose that money. You're going to spend it illegitimately. You're going to do things with it that, like thinking that this is happiness. And as soon as the money starts going down in numbers, you're like, oh, like I'm really not happy. I'm not fulfilled. And money can create an incredible abundance throughout our life, but it depends on the vibration and the frequency that we are. Money is one of the hardest things to attain and to align ourselves with. So when we can actually master that frequency and that vibration to really gravitate that toward our life, money is not the equivalence of happiness. Happiness comes from within, and that's the inner peace that we feel. That is the true balance of happiness. That is the true, definition of happiness in my eyes. And when we are thinking that everything should be instant gratification and that we really shouldn't even, have to work for something or put the law of action into effect and the law of correspondence into effect, then we're really working in our demise. And it's really important as we're going through this journey. And like just what you said, when you're going through different, ascensional periods of self-mastery periods, and as you're embarking on this journey, that this journey is everlasting. Like we will be doing this journey for our entire life. Like self-work doesn't stop. Like self-love doesn't stop. Inner peace, these things never stop. They just progress and they get a little bit better and we get a little bit more advanced throughout our journey. And it's understanding that we need to start surrendering. We need to start surrendering to our journey and not creating that resistance and really just allowing what's going to transpire. Because as soon as, like you said, like you're in your journey and something happened, you're like, oh no, like I don't like that. Like I'm gonna rebuild. Well, a lot of people will create that resistance where they're still going to try and swim upstream for so long. They're going to be exhausted. They're going to be depleted. Their energy is gone. And then they wonder why, like, they feel so miserable because they didn't surrender to their journey. The quicker that we surrender, the quicker that we release that need to be in control, is the quicker that everything aligns itself and that we elevate our vibration and our frequency.
And if we use like an analogy of rock climbing or just analogy of like the quickest route to any A to B is going to be a straight line. Now, if you're rock climbing, that might not be the case because if you're trying to go up like a steep cliff section, right, where there's just no gripping for you, you're going to have a very difficult time getting past that point. So sometimes you might have to shimmy to the left, shimmy to the right, and then kind of keep on moving up. We're still making progress, even though it's a slow detour or small detour. Now we're able to keep moving toward our goal. And sometimes people try to get to their goal as quick as possible. And then as soon as they're on that way there, they finally get a hiccup, that part where they're supposed to shimmy right or left. And they go, you know what? I can't, because the goal is supposed to be right there. It's supposed to be easy. And it's not easy. If we look at the things that come easy for us, those things are not going to be as appreciated long term, right? I'm going to appreciate things that I work for and not so much of the things that just come easy to me because they become mundane. They become natural. So we have to really get into the mindset of challenging ourselves, because if you ask yourself where you were 5 years ago, most likely you're in a better place. Typically, most people are in a better place 5 years apart. Now, there could be some type of detrimental trauma or experience that might have happened in your life, so you might not be there. But most people grow. And the way you thought 5 years ago is not the same way you think about today. I can just look back at high school, how I thought in high school. And I know I saw one of your podcasts about the ego. My ego was inflated in high school. So when I was getting out of high school, I had to get rid of my ego also. The ego wasn't helping me in the way I wanted it to help me. Even though it was helping me in high school, it wasn't helping me in college. I had to make the adjustment. So I didn't keep what I attained. I adjusted for where I was. And many people just try to keep what they have, then adjust accordingly. But sometimes you have to do a total pivot when it comes to life and then your whole structure.
I love what you've said is that we don't always have to be going up on a journey. Sometimes we're going to have lateral shifts. Sometimes we are going to step laterally, and that's okay. There's a learning in absolutely everything. And if we are in a constant state, emotional state of happiness, if you were in a constant state of emotional happiness, would you actually truly appreciate happiness for what it is? No, you wouldn't, because you wouldn't know anything different. You wouldn't feel anything different. And what we do is we desensitize and we take advantage of things. We take advantage of our feelings. So it's important that we have that fluctuation. But like I was saying earlier, it's just important to not get stuck in like a negative emotion like depression or anxiety. If you're feeling it, feel it, discover it, find the root of it, and then move forward. Just don't stay within an emotion. But it's important that we have these ranges of emotions. And it's important that we are not just functioning at an ego state. Our ego does serve us. There's great things that the ego does. It keeps us safe. It has all these incredible functions that it does. However, in the same breath, it also prevents us from living our life if we don't utilize our brain in the correct manner. And if we allow the ego state and the fear state to really dictate our lives, it can be very detrimental to us. So it's important that we are functioning at a soulful level, that we are functioning from the intuitive part of ourselves, the instinctual sense of ourselves, our heart. We have to start following these things. These are our guiding principles. The logical sense will always create that self-doubt. It will always create fear. It will always create every reason why we shouldn't move forward with something or that we shouldn't do something. Life isn't meant to be easy. It's meant to have trials and tribulations. It's meant to learn. We are teachers. We are students. We are continuously learning and we are continuously teaching others as we go through our own individual journey. So it's really important to understand that and to appreciate that and to honor that aspect of who we are. We are soulful beings intended to have this incredible physical experience. We are not physical beings having a soulful experience. So it's really to truly be able to reckon that and to really bask in that and to appreciate that and to feel empowered within that.
You're right. We're not always going to be happy. We're not always going to be in the state of depression or sadness. Sometimes we can get stuck there for quite some time, especially when it comes to depression. We might get stuck there longer than happiness. So I know I talk about this quite often on the podcast and my blogs, where you will feel happiness for 90 seconds, maybe a day, but you'll be depressed for a whole week. And then you wonder why your life is not primed for success or primed for achieving more. It's because you're just thinking in a negative state, and that negativity is weighing you down like an anchor.
Absolutely. And I think that we have to really come back to the basics that peace and love and light is simple. It's very simplistic. And it doesn't need to be complicated. We don't need to overcomplicate our lives. And as human beings and in the ego state, we're always trying to overcomplicate everything. And it's to really, truly understand that there are simplistic processes. Like if you think about meditation, and meditation doesn't just need to be sit there and don't think of anything and breathe. Meditation can be, there's a variety of different types of meditation. My personal way of meditation is I use native drumming and I go into a transient state, or I sing or I dance. Meditation can look different for anyone, but it's just to truly understand that these things are very simplistic. It's our mind that overcomplicates everything, that puts that, little seed of doubt, like, oh, like, do I have time for myself today? Or do I, do I want to do this? Or like, do I really want a better life? Like, it's that fear state, right? So we just have to really just make it very simplistic and really just follow our intuition, follow our guiding voice, and follow our heart and where we're being guided to. When we think about this and we think about the mental health pandemic, I don't even believe in this COVID pandemic. I believe in a mental health pandemic that is transpiring throughout the world. The lives that are being taken, the depression and the anxiety that we're seeing on the rise, this is because people are disconnected from their soul. They are disconnected from their emotions because they're only calibrated in their fear state and they're only calibrated within their mind, and they're not coming to the soulful aspect of who they are, because if they were, we wouldn't be in the crisis that we're in mental health wise.
When it comes to mental health, it can be fortified or it can be weak and fragile. And I find if you can be in the more fortified state of mind, a stronger sense of mindset, you can be anything. There's so many stories of people who overcome these horrific accidents. So like they will lose the ability to walk, and the doctor comes in, the doctor says, hey, you were in a car accident and you're never going to be able to walk again, right? So that initial hit of trauma that they're never going to be able to walk again, the immediate depression, right? And it takes someone to get them out of it typically. Sometimes they can finally say, you know what, I'm going to walk. Versus sometimes people will accept what the doctor said. Oh, it's the doctor. He knows best or she knows best. and they kind of go along with that. But if they say, you know what, I don't care what the doctor says, I'm going to walk. I know it's not going to be easy, but I'm going to go do my therapy and I'm going to walk. I might not walk like I did before, but I'm going to be able to walk. Those people who give themselves that will, the brain does amazing things. And if you can tell the brain to do something, the brain is going to make a way for it. But if you tell the brain to sit down and be quiet and shut up, guess what the brain is going to do? It's going to do just that. And you're going to be in your wheelchair. You're going to be with a cane or a walker. When you have the ability to heal, and many people choose not to go that route because someone told them otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all, I think that's so incredible is the power of the mind. And for those miracle cases that we say are miracles, but I really don't believe them as miracles. I think that is willpower. And I think that's when all of our body comes into alignment. That means that our emotional, our physical, our mental, and our spiritual comes together. And we're like, no, we know we can do this. Like, I know without a doubt that I can do this. Nobody is here to tell you what you can and cannot do. For me, I feel like we've really went in the wrong direction in this because we're always trying to tell other people what to do. We're always trying to judge others like, oh no, like you had this, oh, you'll never be able to have a happy life anymore. We are not here to judge others. We are not here to tell them if they are capable or if they're not capable. That has to come from within. If you think that you can walk again, or you think that you can persevere through life after you went through something that was very traumatic, then you absolutely will. There's a thing that we can either become the victim or we can choose to become victorious over our journey. And I choose to be victorious every single time. Now that choice is yours and that power is yours. Nobody else holds that power. And if you allow somebody else to take that power from you, you have just given all your power away.
And here at Rearden Concepts, what we do is we aim to turn those limiting beliefs around where no one can give you limits. And then that is your predetermined future. You choose what you want in your life and then you go after. And I think what you said there was beautiful and wonderful because you're absolutely right. You choose if there is a limit. And if you give yourself a limit, the mind's automatically going to put one there for you. But if you become limitless in the sense of you can accomplish whatever you want, whatever you put the energy for, then you can. It's just that you have to want it and you have to will it.
Absolutely. And if somebody else was able to do it, and not to say that our journey is all alike and that we are the same, we are all individuals, we all have our own special gifts and abilities. However, if somebody else was able to do it and they showed you the way that they were able to do it and they were able to be triumphant, maybe you should, think about something a little bit differently, have a different perspective because somebody told them that they would never walk again. Somebody told them that they would never have happiness again. Somebody told them that they would never have love again. And look at their life now and look what they've made it. How many stories have we heard of people, being homeless to becoming a millionaire or a billionaire because they worked hard and they put all the laws of the universe in conjunction with their life and they really collaborated with the laws of the universe, and now they have an incredible success and fulfillment and happiness. Everything is absolutely possible. And what we said earlier in the podcast is that our mind is the limit, not the sky.
Exactly. And then having a coach, guide, a mentor to help you along that way to see your blind spots is so important. And I know the work I do, and I know the work that Roxanne does is really going to help you get to the next level or to get to the next part of your journey. Because sometimes we can get into a loop that we call it the rat race. And we just look for a Friday, dread Monday, and enjoy the weekend, right? So it's kind of like we do that until we're 65. And then 65 is when we're supposed to retire and be happy. But happiness can be whenever you want it. You can retire whenever you want. But you have to be in alignment with what you're supposed to be doing, because many people who are waiting to their 65 to retire, for me, I don't want to retire. I want to be, 80, 90 years old and keep on coaching, keep on working, keep on speaking. If I can, I will. I don't look at retirement as happiness. And, for me, that's a term I probably won't use. Now, I might be retired if I have like grandkids and I'll be more free to go on vacations with them, things like that. And I might take less clients. But it's not something I'm looking forward to, because every single day I'm trying to give 100%. And if I can't give 100% any given day, I figure out why I couldn't give it up. And then the next day I make the adjustments. So the next day I can give 100%. I want to be better every single day because I understand if I can keep making progress forward, my future is going to be whatever I dream it to be. And many people, they look at their dreams, they look at the future as something that's so far and so distant and is not allotted for them. And that is not the truth, because if you can dream it, you can achieve it. And many people, they just kind of fall into this mindset where success is limited, where happiness is limited, where love is limited, and then they are limited in themselves. Limits don't have to be your reality. You make that reality for yourself.
Absolutely. And that's the exact sentiment that I share as well. And I think it's important to understand that there's no milestone for happiness. You're not going to have the right relationship and then just automatically be happy. You're not going to have the home, your dream home and be happy. You're not going to travel the world and have millions of dollars and just be happy. You don't have to wait to have that fulfillment. You don't wait to have that sense of inner happiness and that sense of inner peace, that can happen now. And that needs to happen now in order for you to truly attract the things that are truly supposed to be in alignment with your journey. We're always saying, like I hear so many clients like, oh, like I'll be happy like when like my business is this, or I'll be happy, when this happens. I'm like, no, that's not what happiness is. Happiness is not a milestone. You don't just say, oh, I'm going to be happy then. No, happiness has to come now, and you have to have that inner peace now. And that's not something that we need to negate on. That is what we owe ourselves to at the soulful aspect. That's what we owe ourselves to. We owe ourselves to be calibrating and living in the most purest energetic form of who we are. And that is our energy, and that is our source. That is the significance of who we are. Energy never dies. That is scientific. That is in organized religion. It's everywhere. Our energy never dies. Our energy is our biggest disposition within us. So it's really important that we are nourishing that aspect of ourselves so that we can truly prevail in all 4 layers of our being as we go through our journey. And that we are always trying to master ourselves. And this doesn't have to be tumultuous. We have to be able to submit and to surrender to our journey. And this is the importance of that, so that we don't create that hardship within our journey.
Yeah, I love that. We have that energy, and we can either fight it or we can find the flow. And just finding the flow, right? Finding what you're supposed to do and then kind of going with it. And some days you might need to take a break. There's nothing wrong with taking a break. There's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, I need a day to recover. But then understand what tomorrow is. Tomorrow is now work. Sometimes people are like, oh, I'm going to take a day off. Oh, I'm going to take 2 days off, 3 days off. And now they have a habit of taking days off, right? Take the time you need to recover, and then be ambitious and go after what you're supposed to do. Find that energy you need to flow into the state of mind you need to be, and then grow from that. And I think the conversation that Roxanne and I had today is just a start. It's just the beginning of that journey. It's just the beginning of the adjustment that you need to make, or the shift that you have to make in your life. And it's not that you're doing anything wrong. We all can use a little bit of guidance. We all can use a little bit of adjustment. If you go to the chiropractor, he's going to say something's wrong with your back, most likely. And it's not that you have a bad back. It's just that sometimes we might slouch and we don't know. Sometimes, we're in a chair, we're doing recordings, or we're at work, and that's having an effect on our sciatica. There's all of these different things that happen with the body that we might not make ourselves aware of until the pain starts. And then now the pain is there, so something is wrong. We don't have to wait for that pain. We don't have to wait for that trauma to come in our life. Today, you can take action. You can check out Roxanne, you can check out me, Reverend Concepts, and then you can really start to dive into change and to start to become the person you want to be. So if I can from you, Roxanne, any last words? And then please tell people where they can find you.
Absolutely. So my words here are really just to trust yourself, trust your intuitive senses, trust your instinctual senses. If you feel lost, hire a guide, hire a coach, hire someone to really elevate you, because we would never travel the world without a navigation system or a map. And it's the same thing when it comes to our own spirituality and our own soul and self-mastery work. We all have our mentors. We all have our gurus. So don't allow fear to prevent you from really achieving greatness, and that everybody has incredibleness within them. They all have amazingness within us, and we all have an incredible light. And to understand that we do have light and we do have dark energy, and that is perfectly healthy. We are intended to be light and dark, just like yin and yang, and we are made of light and dark matter, and honor both of those lights. And anyone can find me on my website at www.roxannechaput.com, and all my social media handles are under that name as well.
Perfect. And of course, all your links are going to be in the description box below for anyone to find you and reach you easily. And I encourage people to check the work she does. She has many inspirational short videos. I was watching some today. They're always insightful. So I encourage you to check those out and then reach out to her if you're wanting to work with her. She has a playful, unique energy and I love it. I want to thank you, Roxanne, for coming on, coaching a session, a great conversation, and filled with so much wisdom.
Awesome. Thank you so much for allowing me to be in your space. It was truly an honor.
Of course. All right, everyone. I'd like to thank you so much for watching the interview with Roxanne and myself. As you can see, she is full of energy and full of great advice. She is a lovely person to speak with on and off the show. She has been a huge delight. And I encourage everyone to check her socials out, follow her, and you're going to just find those snippets, those moments of gold where you can always just go for a taste, for a pick-me-up. And it's not so much that that's all you need, because you might start there. And then as soon as you have enough, you might say, all right, now I'm ready to get coaching. And for me, I didn't get a mentor really until I was in college. And then after college, I realized how important a mentor was. Yeah, I might have had some here and there in high school, but I really didn't understand the importance of a mentor until I got out of high school and into college. And I remember my first year of accounting and business finance where I had a mentor and she was no good. She was just not a good mentor. I'm going to take the blame because that's who I am. I'm taking the blame for someone who doesn't know how to be a mentor. But there's going to be people in life who know how to be mentors. So you have to understand them and they have to be able to understand you. So the reason why I'm taking that blame is because I automatically assumed since she's a mentor, she knew how to mentor. That was far from the case because she was young also. We were about maybe 4 or 5 years apart. So she didn't know anything about teaching. She didn't know anything about education. That is why she failed. And that is why the relationship didn't work. We only had one session together, but that was enough for me to realize that she wasn't going to be a good mentor to me at that time. Now, of course, she could have made changes, maybe, maybe not. But her personality, unless she did a mindset shift, she's going to be in the same place. So when you're determining your coach, you want to make sure that the relationship is a good relationship. The people I bring on coaching a session, this is their true nature. There's no one pretending to be who they're not. So Roxanne, how she shows herself in the podcast is exactly how she's going to show herself in your sessions, in your consultations. That is going to be what you're looking for. And I get a really good read on people because reading energy is what I do. If I had a job of just reading energy, I'll be the best at it. What I'm doing is not just reading your energy or reading the flow of the room. I'm helping you get that flow, that energy that you need for success and for your future and for change. All of those different things happen because you will it to happen. And I know Roxanne and I talked about it during our interview that you can change. You can be anything you want. You just have to know how to do it. And if you're in a place where you might be confused, where you might need some help or some guidance, guess what? Seek out a coach. Roxanne is going to be a wonderful coach. You can head over to ReverendConcepts.com and sign up for coaching there too. No matter the choice you pick, the option you take, the end result is you getting better. And that's my goal. If I can get you into a better place, it doesn't matter which coach it is. It doesn't matter who you get the help from, as long as you get the help. Because I want to see you better than yesterday. I want to see you better than 5 years, than 10 years ago. And sometimes people, and they get into this state of mind where they say, I'm 40 years old today, but I was happier when I was 20. That means something went wrong in between. You might not have the same flexibility. You might not have the same freedom. You might not have the same mindset, but it shouldn't mean that 20 was better than 40. Because you should grow. You should age well, and then with that age, you should be a person that you say, you know what? I am better than I was at 20 because I have the knowledge. I went through so many different challenges and struggles. It made me who I am. It made me a better person. Versus where I'm 20 years old and I'm naive, where I'm entitled, where I don't have a balance, where I'm not spiritual, or where I'm not aligned. All of those different things could have happened at 20. And vice versa. We could have maybe did a wrong turn between those 20 years. Just because you did a wrong turn in those 20 years doesn't mean we can't turn back. It doesn't mean we can't make adjustments. So if you're in a place where if you're asking yourself at the age of 40 or whatever age you are right now, subtract 5, 10, 15, 20 years, then ask yourself, are you in a better place? And if the answer is no, I encourage you to reach out and get coaching, because you're going to find that with coaching, you're going to find the problem, the source of the issue, of the discrepancy, and then we can adjust. We can pivot. We can move accordingly, make the adjustments you need, and then you can start to live your life the way it should be rather than the way you're living. Many people are stuck because they don't know how to get out or they're unwilling to get out. Find the will, find the determination to be more than you were yesterday, and the courage to be more tomorrow than you are today. My name is Michael Rearden. I'm a mindset coach. If you have any questions, you can email me, coachinginsession@gmail.com. If you need any help or want to check out more personal development, you can always head over to revenconcepts.com. There's so much resources there for you to utilize for your betterment and for your journey. As always, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and to share this video and our audio so we can help build a like-minded community of people trying to get into a better state of mind. Until then, everyone take care.